Mercy is the newest Chris Pratt movie where Chris Pratt, who plays a cop, is put on trial for the murder of his wife in front of an AI judge played by Rebecca Ferguson, and he has 90 minutes to prove he's innocent. And this movie has been getting a lot of hate. I'm not gonna be one of those people because I thought this movie was great. And I might be giving it a little bit of a higher score than it probably should, with a little bit of Chris Pratt bias or stuff. But besides a couple things that I can see being negatives, I would say this is like a 5 out of 5 movie for me. I really loved it. Chris Pratt is my favorite actor, so basically anything he's in, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with, if not like a bunch of fun like this. Even his worst movie, which I think as of right now is the Garfield movie, I still think is a really fun and enjoyable movie. And then all his others are just above that. But this was one of my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year, and it definitely worked for me. So people will be hating this movie. Some of them will actually have reasons that they don't like it, and I can see why. But then other people will hate it because Chris Pratt's in the movie, and he's a Christian Republican, so we can't have those. And also, it's a movie that's dealing with AI. And on that subject, this movie isn't pro-AI, but it's not necessarily against AI. It's more so, at least what I took out of it is, AI is here. AI is a thing. We can't really change that. Why not try and use it for something good, at least? And I like that approach, where it seems like a lot of people nowadays are like saying how AI is bad and it sucks and it's anti this, anti that, like all that. And I guess to some extent it is, but at the same time, it can be helpful, and I can like the way this movie does it, where it's trying to use AI for good, is really interesting. And I think that the at the end, when it's like humans make mistakes and AI has made some mistakes too and everything, I don't have a problem with that. But people will. But I didn't. But the story itself, of Chris Pratt just waking up in this chair and like figuring out like his wife was murdered and all this stuff, and he has to like piece everything back together, I thought was really interesting. Everything you learn about his character isn't a bad person, but he has done bad things. Like it's shown that his cop partner was murdered, and after that he kind of spiraled. He used to be an alcoholic, and then he kind of fell back into that, and then he like started yelling at his family and everything. And I think that was interesting, showing this character that isn't like a bad guy, but he's done bad things, was interesting. And obviously Chris Pratt played him really well. And the story itself, like all the little twists and turns and everything that they do, is really fun and interesting and keeps you engaged. And there were moments where I was like, did this guy do it? And then it's like, no, he did not. And it's like, oh. And then where it ultimately leads was really good. I think it ends really well and all that. It's a relatively small movie where the main characters are Chris Pratt, Rebecca Ferguson is the AI, and then you get this cop girl that he calls a few times. You get his daughter, who he calls a few times, and then becomes a little bit of a bigger plot point towards the end. I thought she was great, and I liked the dynamic with Chris Pratt and her, and just kind of like this father and daughter who don't have like necessarily the best relationship, but are somewhat brought back together because of the murder of the girl's mom and his wife. His wife is played by Annabelle Wallace, who I just finished Peaky Blinders season 1. She's in that. She's in Tag. She's in some other things. I think she's in The Mummy as well with Tom Cruise. She's a pretty good actress. She wasn't in this one that much, where she is not like a big part of it, but she's in the first, like, I would say half, a good chunk, and then after that she kind of just leaves the movie, and it's like, yeah, she's dead, but there's like scenes that have her like while she was alive, like where there's cameras like trying to like piece together stuff, and then she just leaves the movie like halfway through almost. But I thought she was done well. And then you just get a couple other people who show up here and there, and I mean, I think everyone did a really good job, but I mean, I think that the 3 people who really stood out was Chris Pratt, the daughter, and then Rebecca Ferguson. I think she did pretty good as this AI who, throughout the movie, almost seems like it develops somewhat of a consciousness, where it at the end it's still like an AI, it's all that, but it feels like it forms a bit of a connection with Chris Pratt's character, and I thought that they did that really well. There can be some plot holes, I guess, if you like dig deep enough for it, but I wasn't looking for plot holes, and I never really do. I mean, plot holes are things that like are nitpicks, and I don't really care unless it's like a big one and it's just like, that was just really dumb. But I didn't really get any of that from this movie. The little bit of action that you do get, where you get like a car chase, you get some on foot chases, and then towards the end, like, it just becomes like a lot of like a big car chase, and then there was like a fight and everything. I thought that they were really fun. I've heard some people say that stuff was not the best, because like, this movie is like a movie that could have been done for like $5 million, but is like 50 million. I thought it was all good and it was cool. But I'm an action guy, so that's just me. But I liked it. But I mean, this movie is just my thing, and it has my favorite actor, so obviously I'm gonna like it. And I can understand why someone might dislike it more than me, but I don't get all the negative reviews I've been seeing, where basically most of the negative reviews I have seen are basically like nothing besides someone being like, oh, Chris Pratt's in it, and there's AI. And then they don't even take what the movie was about, and they're like, this movie is pro AI and all that crap. And it's like, if you watch the movie, it's not pro AI. It's not like necessarily like against AI, like that's not the big message, but it's not pro AI. It's just saying AI is there, let's try and use it to our advantage instead of whining about it. And I thought that was a really good way of doing the message. But and then obviously, like, people just hate Chris Pratt for some reason. I really don't get it. He's awesome. Like, he's my favorite actor, as I said. But yeah. So I would definitely say this movie is worth it. It's on like 3D and IMAX and everything. I watched it standard, and it was a pretty good way of watching it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to go watch it in like 3D or IMAX or anything. And then if I guess you don't want to go to the theaters, this is a movie that I would say, for me, I would watch in theaters. But if you don't want to, I mean, watching it in streaming in a month or two won't be like horrible. But I definitely think that this movie should be supported. It's obviously not going to get a sequel, because it doesn't really need one, but it was a really good movie for me. And best movie of the year so far. I mean, we're only 3 movies into the year, but The Rip is definitely like close to it though. Like, The Rip was really good, but I definitely think this one edges out just a bit. And we'll see next week if Send Help or Shelter can beat it. And then for movies, I've kind of mapped out how many movies there are going to be that I'm watching the rest of the year. There are a couple that haven't had release dates, so I don't know when they're coming out, but I think this year is going to be a bit of a smaller year for movies than last year was, but I feel like this year might have some better movies, but we'll see. And then obviously TV shows, same thing. But yeah, Mercy was just, it was fun. It was great, and it was good, and I enjoyed it. And I hope it gets a Blu-ray, which I think it would, because I think the studio that it's with does Blu-rays. But if it gets a Blu-ray, I'm getting that thing day one. But yeah, so I'll see you in about a week for Send Help, and then right after that, Shelter. But see you then.